Hello and welcome to Rosberry Crafts. I'm not varying my microphone yet. Hello and welcome to Rosberry Crafts, my YouTube channel where I share all my crafty adventures. Today is October 10th, 2024, and this is episode 111. I'd like to say welcome to any new viewers and thank you very much for coming back to all my returning viewers. I really love chatting with you guys in the comments. Also, I just passed my 4-year mark. So I've been podcasting on YouTube for 4 years. It seems a little crazy that it has been 4 years. It feels like just yesterday I picked up my phone and started recording, and now here I am using a very nice Canon camera. So there you go. If you would like to support this podcast, I do have my Ko-fi account linked below. I'm always happy to accept donations to buy new equipment or send things off or whatever else needs to do for the podcast, but it is not required. This will always be a free channel. What else do I want to talk about? Let's talk about me. My name is Roz and I live in Lake Country, British Columbia, Canada, with my husband and my 2 kids who are 14 and 12. Luckily, today I do have an empty house. I'm taking my lunch break to enjoy the beautiful sunshine that is outside. Maybe I'll show you some of my view later if I remember to take some B-roll of it, but it is beautiful and sunny out today, which is unusual for October. So I'm going to enjoy the natural sunlight and record upstairs today in front of our beautiful bookcases. I think that's about me. Today, the topics that I have for you are finished objects, works in progress, stash, events, next on my needles, and books. So let's get started, shall we? Finished objects. If you watched my last episode, you will have seen that I was so close to finishing my Whitmore sweater. And guess what? It's finished. It is finished. All the ends are woven in. It is blocked. It is just lovely. It is so fuzzy and cozy and warm, and I am so happy with it. The yarn turned out perfect. I've got these nice puffy sleeves. It is the perfect length for me. I have not taken very good pictures, but if I have time before I put this episode up, I will put in some B-roll, but I am super impressed with the lace that I did on here. Not that I haven't done lace before. I really like the look of this. I'm just happy with everything about it. It was a great pattern, well written, easy to follow. Enough interest, but also a lot of just plain stockinette. Like the sleeves was just plain until you got to a certain length, quick decreases, and a nice long cuff. I am very, very pleased with this. Let's talk a bit more about the details. The pattern is Whitmore Sweater by Amy Loudon, and I'm eating my hair, or maybe fluff, I'm not sure. It was a well-written pattern. I enjoyed it a lot. The yarn that I used is Fireweed Fiber Co. If you've been around a while, you know that I have a lot of her yarn, and this is one of my favorites. Seriously, look at those speckles. And I did not alternate skeins. And it's just amazing. Just beautiful. Just beautiful. Oh, goodness. I think this might need another wash because it's now left fuzz all over me. But that is because of the mohair that I put in it. So the sock yarn is the Violet Sock in the colorway 29. And then the mohair is a lace weight mohair in Cold Winter Morning. I think it turned out so nice. And I have a skein and a bit of the sock yarn left and just under a skein of the fuzz. So I had plenty to make it nice and long, how I like it, and I am very, very happy with this. But I do have fuzz all over me now. So this might need another bath or two. Maybe I'll run it through the dryer when it's now that it's dry and see if I can get some of the excess fluff that's coming off of it off it. Never put your wet sweaters in a dryer when they're wool. Cotton, yes. Wool, no. All right, that is it for finished objects. I was so close on another one, but I did not get there. So let's move on to works in progress. First on my list is the socks that I've been working on, and I've made some decent progress, I think. These live in my purse. They're my like out and about socks. Ooh, that needle's getting a little bent. You can see on the side here, this blue marker. Maybe you can't, I don't know. That's where I was last time I podcasted. So, that's some significant progress there. And I am loving this pattern and yarn combination. These are the Hermione Everyday Socks by Erica Luder. And they just have this lovely texture pattern. It's probably not showing up so well on camera, but it's lovely. The back of the bottom of the sock looks just as lovely. This yarn is Fireweed Fiber Co. in her Sweet Pea sock in the colorway Tea Time. So the violet sock yarn that I used in the other one has cashmere or something in it. It's like a really super soft. You could totally use it for socks. It's not that it couldn't be used for socks, but this has a nylon content, which I find wears a lot better for socks. And I knit these on a 2.25 millimeter needle. So, like all of my socks. So yeah, I don't think I'm quite at the heels yet, but not that far off. We'll see how much. I don't plan on going out and about much this weekend. It's Canadian Thanksgiving, so my plan is to cozy up at home with a bunch of movies. So that is the socks. Next up is the shawl that you guys have probably seen before if you've watched previous episodes. But guys, I have made a lot of progress. So this stitch marker here was where I was last time I showed you. Now, it's been more than a week, which is unusual for my podcast to go on that long, but I have done so much on this. I am so happy with it. I am on the last stripe of color at the bottom, and of course I'm in the middle of a row, so it's really difficult to show you, but it's got these elongated stitches here, so I'm just doing those on that kind of last bit of gray section at the bottom. I might do a couple extra rows of the gray just to use up some more of the yarn. I have quite a bit left. This pattern is called Asunder by Lisa Much, and it is like an elongated crescent shawl. So it definitely has a swoop to it, but is nice and long, which is what I like. You get a nice cozy up around your neck vibe. This is the yarn that I'm using. They're both Ancient Arts, and just let me wind that up there. There. The gray is called Weimaraner, and this one is Arctic Midnight, and they are the merino silk in fingering weight. The variegated one turned out quite different than I thought it would, but I love it. It's great. And I mean, this is garter, so it's going to stretch out a lot even once I block it. So yeah, that is very close to being done. And then of course, because, when you finish a sweater, you just cast on all the things. Next up is a hat that I cast on. It doesn't look like much at this point, but I have made some decent progress on this. I'm almost done the increasing. This is what I'm calling my tropical musselburgh. So musselburgh is a pattern by Isolde Teague, and it is a double thick hat pattern. You start at the center and you basically do this increase, until you get enough space that you can measure an inch across or 2.5 centimeters across to figure out what your stitch gauge is. And I just guessed on the needle size. It is a bit dense for the yarn that I used and the needle size that I used, but I think that's okay for a hat because you don't want the wind going through your hat, and it will be double thick. So yeah, so that's the pattern. And the yarn that I'm using is some leftovers. I have, this cake of Loops and Thread Joy DK in the tropical colorway. I'm pretty sure I have enough to make a hat, but if I don't, I have this Lagoon left over, which is the same Joy DK as well. So same yarn, different color, but I'm pretty sure that'll get me most of a hat. There's definitely going to be some random striping and whatnot because it's partial skein and it's left over from other projects. So I kind of just wound it all up into a ball and didn't really pay attention to the colors and stuff, but I think it'll work great for a nice scrappy hat for someone. So that is the hat that I'm working on. Next up is a cowl that I started. I know, I told you guys, I did a lot this past couple weeks, and it doesn't look like a cowl yet, but this is what I have so far, and it is just my colors. I'm so happy with this. This is a skein from Flock Fibers that I've had for a long time. This is their Lone Pine Singles. So it's a single ply yarn, and I've been kind of worried about what to do with it because I didn't want to make a hat or something that would need a little bit more structure, but I think this cowl is going to be perfect for it. This color is called Blueberry Girl, and it definitely has that blueberry vibes. The pattern that I'm doing here is called Secret Skein, and it's by Stephanie Lotvin. And so it is a cowl, like a pull over your head cowl, but it has the V shaping like a shawl, like a triangle shawl would in the front. So you knit the cowl part like a shawl to begin with to kind of get that extra bit of pointiness, and then I'll eventually connect it in the round and keep knitting so I get a nice, so it's nice and tight near your neck, but you get that kind of V shape in the front. So that is going along well. So I talked about that pattern and I talked about the yarn. Oh yeah, and I have one more project. I don't know if you'd call this officially cast on or not. Oh, my computer's falling. But I have gotten everything ready for it, and I kind of swatched for it. I don't know if you'd call this a swatch. If it's this big, do you call it a swatch? I am making a sweater out of this. This is some reclaimed yarn that I knit Taylor a poncho out of that she never wore, and then eventually was like, yeah, that's just not something that I am going to wear. So, and I had washed it and everything, so it was definitely like totally kinky yarn. I skeined it up, washed it, dried it, and put it back into balls. And I think that, like, you can see it's got a little bit of a kink to it, but it's not bad. It's not bad at all. So I have knit this little tiny swatch. This is Cascade 220, and I kind of already know what this acts like because I've knit with it so often. That I know what needle size I like to knit it at. So I just really knit a little swatch just to get the gauge, and then I picked my size based on that. I should probably talk about the pattern. The pattern that I'm doing is called Snow Wonder, and it's by Heidi Kiermaier. I will link to it and everything that I talk about down below in the description bar. The sweater is mostly plain, which will be nice for this kind of like just a nice gray sweater. But on the front of it are these baubles that make a snowflake pattern. I don't have the pattern printed because I'm working with this one. Oh, that's a big piece of fluff. On Knit Companion on my computer. I find that anything that is more complicated than, you know, knit this row and then knit that row and just do that over and over again, I like to have it on my computer. In Knit Companion, I can keep track of my rows, especially something with, you know, like color work or something like these baubles. So there's going to be a couple rows of just plain, and then I'm going to need to space these baubles out pretty precisely in order to get that snowflake pattern. The pattern so far has been very good and very detailed. I haven't read through every single line, but it has a lot of schematics, a lot of charts, and kind of notes about how to make this work, how to make your baubles neat and tidy. So I'm very excited to start this project. I will be knitting it on a, what is this? A 4.5? I don't even know now. Yeah, I think a 4 for the ribbing and a 4.5 for the rest. And I have all of my yarn in there in this lovely bag that I got from my friend Tracy. Yeah, and it has a little cute little Notion bag to go with it, which I have not filled up yet, but I need to. So that is it. Oh, and the yarn is Cascade 220 Heathers in the silver gray colorway, in case I didn't say that before. So, oh, that is a lot. That's a lot of whips, and I'm hoping to finish all of those by the end of October because November is NaNoWriMo. And yes, I am already starting to think about it. NaNoWriMo is National Knit a Sweater in a Month. It is based off of the, what's it called? NaNoWriMo, National Write a Novel in a Month. So basically the idea is to knit a sweater in a month. I've done it for the past few years. I pushed myself pretty good last year with the Ranunculus out of some Barocca Remix Light. I haven't fully decided what I'm doing for my sweater, but I'm leaning towards the Hoki Locatelli, what is it called? Super Summer Sweater, something like that. I will put some details up on here. That's what I'm leaning towards. I have yarn for it. It is a worsted weight yarn, kind of DK worsted weight yarn in some gray and teal. So I think that one would be super fun because you're getting some fun stripes in there to keep you interested and keep you going, but not changing all the time. Anyway, I'm waffling now. So let's move on to stash. First up for stash, I've got my September and year-to-date numbers. So September was kind of a slow month for knitting. I got a lot of progress done, but only one finished object. I finished the green Musselburgh hat, and so that was 338 meters out, but there was no yarn in, so we're calling that good. So my year-to-date numbers are 12,941 in, and then including the September numbers, 10,372 out for a difference of 2,569. So I think I am well in hand to keep that number as low as possible this year. I know with my Whitmore sweater completed, that is a large amount out of my stash, so we're going to call that good. However, I have some new acquisitions. I gotta get them. My kids have seen these. I've known about them for a little while, and I think it was Taylor who she's brought up a few times that she would like to learn to crochet some toys. She has been crocheting other things for a bit and kind of doing a bit of free form stuff with some of my direction. But I succumbed to the advertisements and I ordered some Woobles kits. So these are beginner crocheter kits, and I'm sorry if you can hear the crinkling, but everything you need is included in the kit. So this has the yarn, there are step-by-step videos, a pre-started piece so you don't have to figure out how to cast on. It has the crochet hook, the stuffing, eyes, a needle, and there are online instructions. And it makes these cute little animals. So I got quite a few. I'm not going to show you all of them, but these are the 3 that I picked for the kids and I to do this long weekend, as they have the day off school tomorrow. So this one is Jojo the bunny, and I have Kiki the chick. And then the last one is Alice the Alice the strawberry. So I think I'm going to do the strawberry. I'm most excited about that. But we'll see what the kids want to do. And then I have some additional ones, because if I'm going to pay for shipping, I might as well get a whole bunch at once. And I have some for their stocking stuffers. However, I hope they don't watch this video. But I'm not going to talk about them until after Christmas, because they'll be getting them. So that is it for stash. Let's move on to events. For events, I just have one event now that I'm participating in. That is the Down Cellar Studio Pigskin Party for 2024-25. And it is well underway, but it is not too late to join. This is a knit-along where you knit anything you like, starting from September something and ending at the Super Bowl, which is February the 9th. They give you until the Monday to take pictures and upload your stuff, but that is basically it. You get sorted onto teams, which doesn't really mean anything other than that's a smaller place for people to chat. And they do keep track of team scores, but it doesn't get you any extra points in anything. And basically you submit any projects that you finish for points. There is all the description of everything you need to know at Down Cellar Studio's website, which is linked down below. I really enjoy this knit along because I can knit whatever I like, and but also be a part of a group and a team and chat with people there. So that is super fun. Also, I found Marley, who was a previous year's mascot for that. So I think any finished object pictures that I submit to for the cow, what am I trying to say? I'm going to put Marley beside the finished object because I think that's super fun. And that is it for events. Let's move on to next on my needles. Now that we're in October, I'm starting to think about what do I want to have completed by the end of the year. I have a bingo card, which I didn't show you guys this time. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a picture of it and put it in here. I have crossed off a lot of things on this bingo card. However, I have 2 sweater squares, a toy square, and a cowl square left. So I have the Snow Wonder that I've just swatched for. I'm going to have my Nana Suemo sweater, so that will cover off those 2. We've got the Woobles this weekend, and I have a cowl on my needles. And then the last one is a house item, which I don't know if this is a little too ambitious for the end of the year, but why not be ambitious in this arbitrary knitting rules that I have set for myself. And the other 2 are to sew some bags, which I do have plans for, and when I get there, I will talk to you about them. But I have decided that I am going to make a blanket out of the Advent yarn that I got from Polka Dot Creek last year. So it's all in this Ziploc bag. It's not very easy to see because it's all just kind of bundled up in here. But they're all very different colors, and it's hard to see in the plastic bag. Anyway, so I was really torn on what to do with it because I kind of like Advent yarn to be in a project together. But my other Advent yarn has been all from one dyer, often in a gradient or some sort of color progression, like a rainbow, where it makes sense to do stuff in a certain order. Or like the one I'd made the big cowl with, it was all similar colors from one picture. So what I did is I have a bundle, which I will link to down below, of all of the possible patterns that I can use for Advent. And I have quite a few blanket patterns, And so what I did is I went to Knit Picks, as you do, and I picked up some of their ash color, which is like a medium gray. It's not charcoal, but it's not light gray either. It's definitely a medium gray. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, well, I have a couple options. I'm going to make a blanket, and the pattern will be in here. I can't remember the name of it, and I didn't write it down, but it is kind of like, it's got some zigzags to it. So option one is it's DK weight, so I can hold my fingering double. So option one would be to hold each one of these doubled to make a thing, and then hold this doubled to make the alternating kind of blocks. I don't think I'm explaining this very well. Option two would be to hold a strand of the gray with one of these, and it would make more of a muted colored blanket, and then so each kind of block would be its own mini skein from the Advent. And I'm sure that I have other partial skeins and other mini skeins that I could add in, because a lot of these are like blue and green because it is Christmassy. So I'm sure I have some other pops of color I could add in if I need more yarn. So yeah, that is my plan for my Advent blanket. Comment down below on which option you think I should do, whether you think I should hold the gray with hold the gray with the yarn from the Advent, or hold them each separately and do alternating blocks. All right, that is a lot of talking. Let's move on to books. I have two books to talk to you about this week. The first one is Girlfriend on Mars by Deborah Willis. And this is about a girl that lives in Vancouver, which is my hometown. So that's kind of cool to hear about some of the different places that I know from where I grew up. And it's about a mission to Mars and kind of like a reality TV show, Survivor style, to get picked to go on this mission to Mars. But there is so much more to it than that. There's, human interaction, there is growth and development, there is, discussion about these private companies that are sending people to space and the economy of it all and all that kind of stuff. So very enjoyable book. I would recommend it if you're into that kind of thing. There's definitely some trigger warnings, so take a look at that first. But I thought it was an enjoyable read, maybe like 3.5 stars out of 5. It was good. And the other one that I read is Finlay, Donovan is Killing It by Elle Cosimano. And I heard about this one on the Downseller Studio podcast, the audio podcast, and it sounded interesting. I love a good murder mystery, and this one has many layers, and found it very interesting, and I really could not put it down. Both of these I listened to on audiobooks from my library. So yeah, I quite enjoyed this. Could not put it down. I think I read it or listened to it in 3 or 4 days. So very enjoyable. Divorced mom of 2 young kids and navigating that whole life with layers of her career and her, then the murder mystery and everything on top of it, her possible love life for the future, so many different layers. Really good book. I'd say 4.5 out of 5 on that one. That is it for books, and I think that is everything that I have to talk to you about today. So thank you very much for watching. I always appreciate all the thumbs up. If you want to see new videos right away, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. If you feel inclined to throw a couple dollars my way, my Ko-fi account is linked below. And yeah, I think that's about it. Just looking at my notes. Yep, that's the end of my notes. So we will see you guys again next time.